What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with DFS, bringing you a brand new video. Today's video going over Week 13's cash slate, wide receivers and tight ends. So, Tyreek Hill I have as a cash play for me at 9,600. I think it's pretty obvious he's got one of the more consistent high-end ceiling outcomes this week, especially going against the worst between them and Chargers, I guess you could compare. Maybe Philly too, but some of the worst secondaries in football. Great numbers versus man. He is not a matchup wide receiver because of the way that Miami uses him. He's just an all-around guy. 35.4% of the red zone targets go to him. 10 plus targets in the last 6 games. And of course, a very, very high total on the slate. So, definitely love Tyreek Hill this week. I think it's a great play, whether it's cash or tournament. Definitely going to get a lot of exposure to him. Keenan Allen, next one at 9,000. I have as a cash play right now. 20.3% of the red zone targets. Great versus man. A great matchup in general. Checking the injury status of just players around him as well as him. I think he'll be good to go. And it's a good matchup if you want to pay for him in cash. It's very hard with some of the matchups this week to get Keenan Allen in cash, but I think he's another player with such a safe floor to really target and going to have less ownership than a lot of these wide receivers. So I think it could be a good sneaky play if you play him. A.J. Brown, another cash play. I think he is a great run back piece if you like San Fran. One of the best receivers in the league versus man and zone. 31% of the red zone targets and a very high total on that one as well. So I think he's a great run back piece against San Fran. Amon-Ra I have as a tournament going against the Saints, who are very banged up. 36.4% of the red zone targets go to him. High target share versus man. I think it's over like 35% routes he runs in man coverage he gets targeted. Overall, good matchup, especially with some guys banged up on the Saints side. Then we go to Mike Evans at 7,700. I think he could be a really, really, really good play this week if Chris Godwin is out. Watch for that. He just became did not participate in practice. Great matchup overall against Carolina. They don't give up a lot of numbers to wide receivers. Just because of the amount that they give up to running backs. So I think it could be a good play if you are looking to get away from Rashard White and a 22% red zone target share. Next is Jalen Waddle at 7,600. I have him as a good stackable option going with Tua. Obviously, it's a pretty high stack. Tua almost 8K, Waddle 7,600. But another wide receiver, a good matchup. Great numbers versus man. Not there in red zone target share and all that, but he is kind of pricey. But yet again, if you want exposure to Miami and to get away from Tyreek Hill, that's the way to do it. Devontae Smith, another stackable option for me here. Also very good numbers versus zone. Man numbers aren't there. It's pretty much A.J. Brown. Not there in red zone targets, but his numbers with Dallas Goedert out are incredible, so I think he's a good stackable option there as well. Next is Brandon Ayuk. I think, yet again, another good stackable tournament play at 7,200. Great numbers if you look at all the San Fran receiver numbers versus man, which it's pretty much Ayuk and Debo, but Ayuk's numbers in man compared to Debo's are crazy, crazy good. I think it's a great matchup for him. Under 10% for the red zone target share, which is kind of worrisome, but he has that downfield touchdown capability, so that's not a worry there. And Philly giving up 17 touchdowns to wide receivers, so that's another positive. And then Michael Pittman I have his cash play at 7,100, getting up there in price. 41.5% of the red zone targets go to him. Great matchup. Great numbers versus both man and zone, facing a very bad secondary in Tennessee. Nico Collins, a stackable option for me here. I'm not in love with the Denver-Houston game. It always bites me in the ass when Houston plays as well as they do, but I think getting exposure there is good, especially with how Houston is, but it's just not a game script that I love. 25 targets in the last 3 games, averaging 22.6 points per game at home, 21.7% red zone target share. But like I said, it is a tough matchup. Adam Thielen at 6,600. His price is starting to go down with his lower performances lately. Great matchup. Great versus man. Tampa Bay, another defense that's very banged up. 37.9% of the red zone targets go to him. Tampa Bay allowing the second most yards to wide receivers. So positives there for Adam Thielen. Debo at 6,200. I have as a cash play. Top 10 wide receiver versus zone. Good matchup overall. 14 red zone opportunities, which is third on the team behind Kittle and, of course, CMC. DeAndre Hopkins tournament play at 6,100 against Indy. Top 15 wide receiver versus zone. 30.3% of the red zone targets. Treylon Burks is expected to be back, so that's a positive that helps Hopkins. Doesn't just make sure that teams just have to cover D-Hop, and that's pretty much it. So I like him there. Garrett Wilson, another tournament play. 42.9% of the red zone targets go to him. Crazy good. Obviously, don't love the quarterback play and the tough matchups. He did get targeted quite a bit, though, last week. And his numbers are by far the best on the Jets side for receivers versus zone. So another like there. It's just not a lot to love and not worth it in cash. Cortland Sutton, a cash play at 5,400. 32.6% of the red zone targets go to him. Good matchup against that Houston secondary. And his numbers versus man are very good in zone. So 5,400. High touchdown upside, too, for Cortland Sutton in a game that's got a high total. So I think for his price point, he's a good pay down at cash. Josh Downs, good tournament play. Good matchup for him. Good numbers versus zone. 22% red zone target share. Right below him, Deontay Johnson, though, 5,000. I have as a cash going against a very bad Arizona secondary as well. Down a corner, too, at that. So, great matchup for him. His numbers compared to Pickens versus zone are drastically different. And at 22.2% red zone target share at 5,000. So, really like Deontay Johnson. I hope that off-the-field stuff clears up so we could see his on-field performance. Watch the injury status of Jerry Jeudy going into the week. Overall, I think he has the best matchup versus Houston. I just like Cortland Sutton's numbers a little better. Big thing was Demario Douglas. I think he was going to be a good play in cash if he was in, but he is out. So we'll get to that soon of who we're going to replace him with. Greg Dortch, 3,700. This is something to watch. Wilson already out. Marquise Brown has not practiced this week, so that's something to watch. 17 targets in the last 2 games, and he's only 3,700 going against a very inconsistent secondary in Pittsburgh. They've looked pretty solid at times. They got a Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate in Porter in their secondary, so like him. But Greg Dortch is just pretty hard to not look at if Marquise Brown is out as well. So Elijah Moore, 3,500 against the Rams. Best matchup on Cleveland's side, 21.1% of the red zone targets. 23 targets in the last 3 games for him. So kind of a sneaky play there against the Rams. Devontae Parker, with Douglas out now, is a value play for me at 3,300. Kind of saw him get an uptick in targets. Obviously a bad offense to play, but for his price point, I think it's very fair. A.T. Perry, I still have as a value. It looks like Olave's going to be good. Shaheed already confirmed out, but I think A.T. Perry could be a very good value at his price point at 3,300. Allows you to pay up for some of those wide receivers. So now getting into the tight ends. George Kittle, most expensive I have as a cash play, obviously, against this Philly defense. 4th best PFF tight end advantage. High total, 6 touchdowns at tight end so far this season, and a 21.4% red zone target share. So really like George Kittle as a double stack if you're stacking San Fran's side. Like him as well. Laporta at 5,600 going against the Saints. 6 touchdowns to tight ends as well. 24.2% of the red zone targets. Tough matchup, but now Saints have a couple guys out, so that tough matchup becomes less tough. Taysom Hill, another tournament play, 5,200. This is one I like, even with Olave being in. I think he's a sneaky play. This just screams a game where Taysom Hill gets included quite a bit for the Saints to break out a win against a very good Detroit team. It looks like Taysom Hill could be a sneaky touchdown pick, so look at that one. 4,900 Trey McBride, third best PFF tight end advantage. 16.2% of the red zone targets go to him. Got to remember, it's low from Zach Ertz basically being the main guy in the red zone and him being out. Going to be released soon too at that. Marquise Brown possibly out. Michael Wilson already out. So 4,900 Trey McBride is a very good tight end tournament play. Pat Firemove 4,300 against Arizona. I like this one. Helped me win last week. Second best PFF tight end grade. 14.8% of the red zone targets, and that's with him missing 5 games, and 5 touchdowns to tight ends Arizona's allowed so far this year. Then David Njoku with Joe Flacco as a quarterback. 31.6% of the red zone targets going to him. 654 yards and 5 touchdowns to tight ends the Rams have allowed. So I really like David Njoku. And then we go all the way down here. Hunter Henry I have as a cash play, and I really like this. Demario Douglas out. Top 10 PFF tight end grade. 69 receptions and 715 yards to tight ends. Touchdowns aren't there, but the amount that they allow to tight ends makes me really like Hunter Henry, especially with Douglas out. So his price point, 231, is a good punt option. Adam Troutman, Dulich doesn't look like he's going to be good to go, so Adam Troutman at 2,900 I think is a great value play here against Houston. You can see the 16 points per game. Doesn't get a high target share, not high red zone targets either, but for his price point, another good punt. And then Belvin Jordan just came out of nowhere with Dalton Schultz being out at 2,500. Best tight end matchup of the week, right? As far as points that he's allowed, or Denver allows to tight ends. Top 10 PFF grade, obviously it was Schultz, but now Jordan in a high total. So Belvin Jordan at 2,500. If you want a minimum punt option, that's your guy to go to. So hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys want the quarterback and running back, I posted that video a couple of days ago, so go check that out. If you guys are interested in joining us, the link for that will be in the description down below. If you guys did enjoy the video, click a like and subscribe. That means a lot to me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.